can't say. I can't read this without my glasses and I can't see. Good morning. It's Friday, so therefore it is Friday morning coffee. So welcome. Glad you're here. Woof woof. This is your dog lesson, and we're so happy to have Mike Sentef and Adam Sentef. Mike, Adam, we're glad to have them today. Mike has been in the pet industry for 26 years. He is an AKC certified evaluator, temperament evaluator, dog behaviorist, therapy dog training, and lead trainer for Whispering Oaks Professional Dog Training, which they train about 350 dogs a year. And Adam is 16 years in the pet industry and is president and owner-operator of Pet Services. Or is it Pet Containment Solutions? Yes. Now, we don't have a lot of use for dog fences here, but he can talk about how to keep your dog out of your bedroom. So there you go. And we're so happy to have them. Thank you, Mike.
Okay, very good. It's good to be here with you today. The first thing I want to do is I want to answer this question, what's in it for me, right? And for many of us, the question becomes, my dog owns me. Actually, my dog has trained me. And so my dog jumps on me. And my dog pulls me down the street. And my dog's on a long line, and my dog wraps himself around a tree or a telephone pole, or the person I'm trying to speak with. And sometimes my dog nips at my pant legs, to get my attention. And so what we want to talk about today is, what does good behavior look like in your dog? And as a dog behaviorist, I want to go through the psychology and philosophy behind dog training, and what is it that negatively affects the behavior of your dog, and what is it that you can do as the dominant alpha male and female so that your dog submits to you and you enjoy your dog, okay? And so those are the things that we're going to talk about. And then towards the end, we're going to have a 15-minute or so question and answer. There is information here available for you. We are the premier pet services company in Atlanta, and we cover everything from all of North Georgia and surrounding counties and so on and so forth. So let's begin with talking about dog behavior. The first thing we want to identify is alpha versus beta. And you've heard about how people are supposed to be the alpha in your intra-pack relationship with your dog. Well, alpha demonstrates power, position, authority, and strength. And that's what the dog needs to respect you as its alpha. So sometimes I'll say to a person, do you want a happy dog or do you want an obedient dog? And you know what they say? I want a happy dog. And I'm like, no, you don't want a happy dog. You want a dog that's obedient, then you're going to be happy. And if you're happy, the dog is going to be happy. Because then you're going to be able to take, yep, I like that. This man's shaking his head, but he's like, yes, that's right. That way, he can take his dog anywhere on the planet he wants to, and the dog is going to be well behaved. And so it's important then for us as dog behaviorists and all of you are dog behaviorists. You know why you're a dog behaviorist? Because you can tell me how your dog behaves, right? That's right, that's right. Exactly. So being a dog behaviorist is not a big deal. It's if I don't like the way my dog behaves, then something needs to be changed. And that change is twofold. One, my dog needs to change. But you know what? Who is the most important person that needs to change? Raise your hand if you know who that's right. Who is that person? That's right, you are that person, right on target. So intra-pack, dogs are created by God, and he created them to be a hierarchically in the pack kind of a creation. That means they need structure. That means they want to know who the boss is. And if there is no boss, guess who's going to be the boss? The dog is going to be the boss, right? How many of you, and you don't have to raise your hand, but how many of you think that your dog is the boss in your house? Raise your hand if that's you. Yes. Okay, well, 3 people told the truth. And 97% of the other people are saying, Mike, you don't understand. My dog is perfect. He doesn't need any more training. I love my dog. As a matter of fact, I get on the couch and I get in the bed and my dog gets in the bed with me, right? And when I take my dog for a walk on one of these retractable leashes, my dog is so good, he leads me where he wants to go. And I'm trying to get my 10,000 steps in, and what happens, we stop 99 times so my dog can smell all along the way, right? Yes. And so you didn't get your 10,000 steps in that day, right? Yes. Okay. So the dog's having fun, and you're not having as much fun as you want to have. Now, something motivates your dog. And some dogs have a high ball drive. That means I like to chase things. How many of you have a dog that has a high ball drive because it likes to chase things? Boy, this is not a participative group. So, okay, what about the squirrel? What about the chipmunk? What about the person who's walking by, right? And so that's called a high ball drive. I like to chase things. Then we have a dog that has a high prey drive. That means I'm going to run after you, and if I catch you, I'm either going to play with you or I'm going to eat you. It just depends on whether or not the dog has what we call a high prey drive. So we want to be sure to be able to understand that in being a pet owner, we need to desensitize that dog to what drives them. Some dogs are all huggy bear and kissy face, and every person they come up to, they want to jump on that person because they want you or them, your neighbor who doesn't necessarily want the dog to jump on them. The dog jumps on them anyway and says, that's right, pet me. Go right ahead and just pet me. Well, where do they get that from? So you're at home and you're sitting down on the couch and you're watching a program or you're talking or reading or whatever you're doing, and the dog comes up to you and he jumps in your lap. And what do? You go, oh, I love you too, you sweetie pie. Come here, yes, I'll give you a kissy. Well, the dog didn't get up there because for any other reason other than to say, that's right, I'm here, stop what you're doing and give me loving. And then you say, well, I'm glad to do it. Well, that's not what the dog thinks. The dog's like, that's right. I jumped on your lap. I interrupted what you were doing, and I told you to pet me. And what did you do? You pet me. So where am I? Here. Where are you? There. So now you're beta. And so this dog thinks that you are the boss. And so it's important to understand that if your dog has unwanted behavior, that can be changed. In our training programs, it's 100% money back guaranteed. What that means is if the dog doesn't behave and you're doing what you're supposed to, you don't pay for the training, right? And in 26 years, we don't have dogs that go home not behaving. And we don't have dominant alpha females or males. We don't have them going home without knowing how to enjoy their dog anywhere they go on the planet, right? And so it's a good idea to understand, how do I get my dog from where they are to where they need to be? Okay? Now, I want to show you a couple of videos of dogs. One is a German Shepherd, and they're very, very obedient, right? Yes, they are. And then there's a sweet little puppy that's about 14 weeks old with a sweet, darling little girl as her alpha. So let's watch this for a minute so you can see what we're talking about. The dog's off leash.
Drake, sit. Drake, down. Drake, stay.
Congratulations.
All right. Now, was that impressive or what? Right? A sweet, darling little girl that's just as sweet as she can be. She was then 18. Now she's 19, and she's going to a college up in North Georgia, right? And look at that face. I mean, she is just like, oh my gosh, I am the queen bee, right? And she's taking her dog with her on campus and staying in her room on campus, right? And so this is what it looks like to take a puppy and teach it how to behave. And dogs want to know, what is your expectation as the pack leader? What is your expectation for my behavior as a beta dog? And so we take dogs whose behavior is way out here, and through imprinting, we teach the dog to behave in here, which is where you want the dog. And then proofing is holding the dog at that level long enough that it becomes the dog's default behavior. And they love their job. How many of you have ever heard somebody say your dog needs a job? Right? Okay, yep. Some of us have heard that your dog needs. Well, what happens is the energy that you normally see in a dog that's all over the place, right, like a bouncing ball in a room, that energy goes out, but it comes back as obedience. And so the dog takes that energy and focuses on, what am I supposed to do? So in this particular video, you saw how the dog was laser focused on the alpha, right? And so she was being alpha, but she was sweet. And the dog was being beta, but the dog was being obedient. So it's not about being mean or eating your dog or hitting your dog or yelling at your dog or punishing your dog. It's finding out what it is that motivates my particular dog, okay? Now we're going to see a little bit about this German Shepherd, and it's going to be kind of the same idea. So the German Shepherd is in a downstay on a raised platform, and a young lady has walked about 150 feet away, and she calls the dog to herself, and the dog comes to her, turns, and sits down on her left side.
Okay, now you can pet him.
All right? And the reward is
And
not
tell
a
him,
treat.
"Hello, good close."
The award is not huggy bear and kissy face. The award is, I put my hand on you and I tell you that's a good close. Do you think your dog would rather have a pepperoni coming in from the side, or do you think that your dog would rather have you put your hand on them and give them physical affirmation? Yep. I would much rather you love me than give me a Snickers bar, right? Now, I keep using that Snickers bar thing, so that lets you know I really do like Snicker bars. So hint, hint, all right, hit Snicker bars, right? Okay, good, good. Just wanted to make sure we were clear on that. So the idea then is we want to let you know that in the dog training aspect, or in the inside solution aspect, which could be dog behaviorist issues, or an inside solution for where your dog can go and not go, Adam is going to speak to us about those inside solutions here in a little bit. Okay? All right. Let's continue then. When we talk about breeds and temperament, different strokes for different folks. How many of you have ever heard an A-type or worked for an A-type personality who said, look, Michael, that's my name, it's my way or the highway? Have you ever worked for somebody like that? Some of us are shaking our heads, yes, that's right. Now, don't tell me if you are that person, right? Don't admit that. I won't ask you to raise your hand on that. But when we talk about temperament and we talk about breeds, some breeds are very much on their muscle, right? And it might be a terrier pit bull. It might be a Doberman pinscher. It might be an Italian Mastiff, and the list goes on. Those are not Rottweilers. Those are not bad dogs. They just need trained, and they need somebody who is their boss. And then they're perfect. All right? So when we talk about breeds, we do talk about temperament. We do talk about who they are, what their makeup is, and training of a person and training of a dog is not cookie cutter, where we bring a dog in and then we do A, B, C, D. No, It's who are you, and what is the breed of dog, and then what is the temperament for that particular dog. All right? And you can see some of the breeds, and maybe you can't, but you can see some of the breeds: Akitas, German Shepherds, Dobies, Cane Corsos, and so on and so forth. And so what a good training company does is tailor the training to you and your dog. That's what it means not to be cookie cutter, because what's going on in your life, who you are and what your dog is, what his temperament is, what his horizontal situation is, that determines the kind of training that the dog needs, right? So we want to evaluate the person and we want to evaluate the dog. Okay, now when we evaluate you, all of you are going to get an A+, right? And yes, of course. Now your dog, on the other hand, might get a C-. Okay, but we're going to get that fixed, all right? And that way, both of you are an A+. So here's the thing. If you're good and the dog's not, the team loses. If the dog's good and you're not, the team loses, right? So we need what's called a win-win, all right? And so we want the dog to be vertically focused on you and not horizontally distracted by that squirrel or the chipmunk or the person who's walking up the sidewalk. We want the dog to be able to heel. So when you step with the left foot, the dog says, okay, we're going to go for a walk. And you don't even say anything. You do this, and the dog follows you. You slow down and come to a stop. What does the dog do? Stops and sits, like that. If you reach down and say, Max, watch me, what does the dog do? His eyes, or her eyes, see yours, and now the dog is vertically focused. I don't care about the chipmunk. I don't care about the person that I always jump on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday when we go out for our walk, right? And oh, by the way, I want to be with my person. So I don't walk 10 feet in front of my person. I want to be with my person, right? Like that. So this is all about how do I take a dog that has aberrant behavior and teach them to be obedient. How many of you have ever gotten a ticket for speeding? Okay, all right. I'll also include those of you who laughed in that number, okay? All right. So when you got that speeding ticket, was it a gift certificate to Olive Garden? If it was, raise your hand. Of course it wasn't, right? You might have gotten a $350 ticket and 4 points off your license because it was super speeder. Okay, well now you're saying, you know what? I probably better not speed again because that was not good. Maybe I'm okay with the $350. Well, I'm not. But the 4 points off my license, my insurance is going to go up now, you know, like that. So dogs, we call it pressure on, pressure off. Some of you have heard and read and been involved in training programs where everything is about a clicker and a treat. Sit, treat, 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 right? But if you don't have any treats, it's catch me if you can. And since you can't catch me, I'm out of here. Because when I come back in 2 hours, I'm going to get a treat anyway, because I get 99 treats a day. That's right, of course it is. So did she just throw you under the bus? I won't go any further than that. But Teresa and I have been married for 44 years. And when she throws me under the bus, if we're sitting at a table, she puts her hand on my thigh, as if to say, no, honey, pay attention to that, because that is you. Okay, all right, and that's okay. That's because you love your dog. Yes, you do. Yeah, if you love your dog, raise your hand. Yes, good, excellent. All right, fantastic. Okay, so the idea is that in pack life, when the mama dog growls at the puppy in the whelping box because the puppy is chewing on brother's foot, and the puppy doesn't stop chewing on the puppy's foot, what does the mama dog do? She gets up, goes over there, and does a biting action, that's right, on the back of the neck, and moves that puppy to the other side of the whelping box because you didn't listen to me. When you're in a dog park, have you ever seen two dogs come up to each other almost nose to nose, and one dog puts its mouth over the neck of the other dog and does a biting action, and then that dog that got the biting action on the back of the neck has a moment of decision. Either there's going to be a bloodbath here and two $4,000 vet bills, or I better lay down and show my belly. And what does the dog do? Lay down and does that. And the dog says, okay, you can be the dominant alpha dog in this park if you want to. I'm not going to fight you for the number one position. My point of this is there has to be a consequence for negative behavior, right? It's not all about treat, because that's actually manipulation. Okay, I will give you something if you do something for me. Please? Pretty please? Right? That's not training, that's manipulation. How many of you got $250 for every A you got on your report card? Did you really? Wow. I needed to know your parents. My parents would say, and maybe the rest of you can relate, my parents would say, Michael, be good or be dead. Right? Not really, of course. Not, it's okay, I'm still here, so it must have been okay. All right, so the idea is I want you to change the way you think and start thinking like a dog. So let me give you another example of that story that we're talking about here. If you have 5 dogs in a pack, the lead dog can either be a male or a female. Yeah, that's right, yes, it's a female, that's right, yes. Is it a female in your home? Yeah. Okay, all right, good. And it is in mine too, okay, all right. And so the lead dog can be a male or a female and 4 follower dogs. Now watch this. One dog comes and lays down next to the lead dog and starts licking the lead dog's ears. Well, now there's going to be a dog fight because the alpha dog did not say you could do that. Do not come over here and touch me. Beta does not touch alpha. Now, if the alpha dog gets up and goes and lays down next to the beta dog, then the alpha dog is saying, okay, now you can lick my ears. So you see, if you move your dog's feet, you're the boss. If the dog moves your feet, then the dog is the boss. And in this room, I would say that 50-50 is a little bit too low. It might be, is it 80-20? You know the 80-20 rule? 80% of the people have spoiled their dogs and their dogs own them now, right? Yeah, and it might not be 80-20 in this room. You guys might be the people who came because your neighbor's dog is jumping on you. Your neighbor's dog is the one pulling them down the sidewalk and you're afraid they're going to trip and fall, right? And when you get older, if you trip and fall, that's not good, right? If you break your hip, you might not walk again, right? So we want to be careful to have a very obedient dog is going to make you happy. And that's why we're here today, to talk about how do we make you happy so that you can enjoy your dog and everybody around you can also enjoy your dog, all right? And so this is a little bit about what it means to understand the temperament of the dog, and then how do I train the dog to be perfect, and then how do I train the person to be perfect? And that's what we're here to do. So on the table here, there is some information about underground pet fence systems. If you're in a cottage and maybe 15% of the property is a cottage, and you want to just say, look, it's Thanksgiving morning, I'm listening to Christmas music, get your little butt out of my house and go run and have play time, because I'm not coming back to get you for 8 hours, right? You just want the dog out from underneath your feet, okay? And the dog is guaranteed contained. Or it might be an inside solution, as we talked about earlier, about you want the dog to be relegated over there in the pantry or over there in the washroom, or you can have access to the entire house if you want to, but stay out of my bedroom, please. Don't ever pee on my bed again, like that, okay? Yes, very good. And so there's some information here for you as well, okay? All right. So when we talk about dog training, we want to address some unwanted behavior. So I'd like to show you a trainer and a dog, and you're going to hear some of the same words and some of the same terminology that you hear from me, all right? And here we go.
Hey, so we're here with Gigi. Today is her first video, and what we're going to show you today is Gigi understanding that we know that she understands what we're looking for and what this pack expects. So we started her out on a 4-foot leash just to let her show us what she knows and build a relationship. And since you already had said she's been through training, she came in with an e-collar, so we went ahead and got her started on e-collar because she demonstrated she understands what we're looking for. So Gigi realizes that I'm the alpha of the pack because I'm demonstrating power, position, authority, and strength. And those are the characteristics any dog needs to see to understand that they need to submit as beta in the pack because there's an alpha in the pack. So they're always looking for who's the boss, and once they see a boss, then they're more comfortable in being more submissive. So Gigi's needed some work with desensitizing to noises. She's a little, on edge about random, unexpected noises. So we worked a lot on desensitizing to people, places, things, noises, and other dogs. She's come a long way there in her first week. We've also worked on advanced training techniques of distance close, sit, stay, down, stay, things in that nature, being socialized around kids. And she's done a really good job there. So she's realizing, wow, I can be submissive and trust the person I'm tethered to protect me no matter what's going on in the horizontal, because that's the end goal, is I own everything in the horizontal. You don't need to worry about nothing other than what I need of you, which is being on my hip, obeying commands, staying focused, things like that. So we're really excited to show you what she's doing so far, and here we go.
Okay, so this dog is in for a 21-day advanced program, which means I'm 100% obedient on leash and I'm 100% obedient off leash. This particular dog had been in for a week, and we do 3 or 4 videos every 7 to 9 days. You get them on your phone or you get them on email, so you can see. If you were an owner, this would be one of 3 or 4 videos that you would receive so you can see your dog. You can see what the dog's doing. You can hear the verbal commands. You can see the nonverbal commands, right? And some of our folks, they come to their 4-hour Train the Trainer, and they already know all the verbal and nonverbal commands because they watch the video 999 times because they just want to see their dog. Oh, I miss my dog, yeah. And so that's right, we miss our dogs when they're gone. All right, so you can hear the same terminology from one of our lead trainers as you heard from me, right? And that's the terminology that you're going to learn, and that's what you're going to be able to do with your dog. If you know the system, and the system that we teach your dog is the same system we teach you, then the system works. It doesn't necessarily rely on the person, it relies on the person using the system. If you use the system, you get exactly the same result, right? And that makes sense. So that's an example of what a person will receive. Now let's stop for a moment, and I'm going to take about 15 minutes of question and answer. Then Adam is going to come in, and he's going to talk a little bit about other services, with exception of Plexidor dog doors, right? So what kind of questions do you have? And somebody's going to bring around my microphone so that you can be heard. Okay, so we have a lady raising her hand here. Good.
If one of us is outside walking on one of the sidewalks here without a dog, and another person is coming up with their dog kind of loosely on a leash, and that, I'm sorry, let me start over. If someone's walking their dog, a small dog, on the campus, and somebody else is walking along with a dog that is loosely on a leash, and the second dog goes into a predator type stance, what does the first dog person do?
Yes, good question. The thing we want to understand is if 2 dogs get into a fight and you reach in and break that fight up, you're probably going to get bitten, okay? And we understand that. That's a caution. When you have 2 dogs approaching each other and one dog is acting dominant and starting to demonstrate aggressive behavior, and I have a dog and I'm afraid that my dog's going to get eaten by that dog, then if you see that dog coming from 50 feet away and you see the dog walking like it's like it's a tank. I would pick my dog up, depending on how much your dog weighs, and I would move out of the way and be preemptive. If you're not sure, pick your dog up and move out of the way, right? Now, that person who has that dog is responsible for that dog's behavior. And you live in a county with a leash law, because you're in Hall County, right? And that means that the dog has to be under control. And if dog A attacks dog B, then that is a dog behavioral issue that might involve the county dog catcher coming and picking up the dog, putting the dog in jail, and then the person who owns that dog might have to pay $600, $700, $800 to get their dog out of jail. And then if that happens multiple times, there may be some other things that need to occur, right? So my advice is to pick the dog up, your dog up. If the dog's too heavy, just move off the sidewalk, go somewhere else about 20 feet away, and let that person have the sidewalk. All right, excellent question, thank you. Next. Yes, ma'am.
I have a 5.5-pound rescue.
Yes, ma'am.
From what I understand, she was abused.
Yes, ma'am.
So I believe she has separation anxiety.
That's right.
I haven't been able to train her to just simple commands.
Yes.
She just doesn't respond.
Yes.
Just patience, is that what I need?
No. You need to be, and let me answer the question. Thank you, that's an excellent question and a common question. When dogs have separation anxiety, they have become codependent and they're not independent. So the dog's not an independent member of your pack. The dog has become codependent, which means don't leave me. If you leave me, I'm going to spew diarrhea inside my crate. If you leave me and walk out of the house, depending on my size, I'm going to pull the blinds down off the window. Or I'm going to chew, yes, that's right, or I'm going to chew the molding in the house, or something like that, right? So what we want to do is, we want to get the dog out of this fear mode. We want to get their mind off of that, and we want to get them on obedience. And so it's desensitizing. Desensitizing is, if I'm afraid of something, the dog's here, and whatever I'm afraid of is over here. And then incrementally, I bring it closer and closer and closer and closer and closer and closer and closer until the dog says, oh, that's no big deal. So what we do, for example, let's say a dog is afraid of its crate. Well, we say, okay, get in your crate. And then 5 seconds later, we let the dog out of the crate. Get in your crate. 10 seconds later, we let the dog out of the crate. Get in your crate. 2 minutes later, we let the dog out of the crate. Get in your crate. 5 minutes later, we let the dog get out of the crate. Then the dog doesn't panic in the crate because the dog knows that I'm not in here for the rest of my life. So it is a training thing, and it is 100% effective to train fear aggression or separation anxiety away from the dog. Then when you come to pick the dog up, the dog doesn't have that issue anymore because it was trained out of the dog. Then we teach you, what does it look like? Now, sometimes a person they'll hamstring a dog, and this is what I mean. They'll say, okay, I rescued this dog, and I noticed this dog doesn't like men, so maybe this dog was abused by men. So then I pick the dog up and I say, oh, it's okay, honey. He's not going to hurt you. He just wants to pet you. Well, if you act that way, then that's not normal for a person who's in control and who's dominant and who's calm and giving commands. What you're going to say to your dog in that situation is, Max, leave it. Then the dog says, okay, well, if she's calm and happy and has control of the horizontal, including that man, then I can just chill out and relax. And I can step into the background and I can let her or him be the alpha. So training is not, Mike, I want you to teach my dog one thing. Training is holistic, which means it's all-encompassing. And so what we do is we get the dog off of that mindset about fear, and we get the dog to take that fear and double it back, like I mentioned earlier, as obedience. And now the dog's job is not to be afraid, but to be obedient. Okay? All right. And that may not answer your question fully. If it doesn't, that's okay. You have a phone number. you'll just call us. Okay? All right. This gentleman over here has a question.
Yeah, my daughter has got a dog that when I go visit, jumps and wants to get petted, I guess. But how do I transmit that I'm the boss to him?
To your son or the dog?
To the to my daughter's dog.
Yes, yes. Okay, right. Yes, and you know, sometimes we have to have a little bit of levity, you know, when we're having this serious dog training conversation, you know. Yes. So what you're going to do is, for dogs, they're all about what I see. And men have a tendency to smell different than women do. Men have a different, thank goodness, right? Men have a different way of walking, right? They have a different way of holding their body, and their voice is usually like a drill sergeant. So what you're going to do then with that dog is you're going to step into that dog's space, and that dog's going to back off because that dog says, whoa, whoa, very dominant. You know, like in the dog park where dog A puts his mouth over the neck of dog B, then that dog says, okay, I'm going to back up. Also, the command for pushing a dog back is off me, and you walk right into the dog's space. And then what ends up happening is the dog says, okay, you know what? I'm going to lay down because he's going to eat me. And then the dog learns that every time I lay down, what happens? He reaches down and pets me, right? But when he doesn't, when I don't lay down, off me, and he pushes me right down the hallway. And the dog actually turns and runs the other way like that. So it's all about dominance. It's all about power, position, authority, and strength. And that's the way we define a pack leader. So when you come to do your 4-hour presentation, if you're not the pack leader, you're going to hear it from me. So like if I'm teaching you how to use a backhand on the tennis court, I'm going to show you a preparation, explanation, demonstration, and then follow-up is, wow, that was a good, boy, you hit that ball just right in the sweet spot. Or let me show you that for the 5th time. Yeah, not really. It can be 15 times. That's okay. Because it's not practice that makes perfect. It's what? Perfect practice makes perfect. Right? That's right. So thank you. Excellent question. Yes, other questions? Yes, ma'am. She's coming with the microphone.
I have a sweet, easy dog.
Yes.
And I have been here 2 years, and he's been going probably weekly or maybe every other week out to Bark Camp, which
Yes.
is 30 acres of open fields with the dogs allowed to run.
Yes.
And that's their big sign. Dogs are meant to run. And they're
Yes.
all big dogs for the most part. And mine is about 25 pounds. Well, he has learned to go up to a dog he wants to play with and butt him.
That's right.
Harriet. Our 2 dogs are good friends, and mine is doing this now. He goes up to Bandit and butts him. And it means I want to play,
That's right.
I think.
Yes.
Bandit doesn't like it.
Yes. Yes. Well, let me address 2 things. Number one, dogs were not meant to run. Out
That's
in the
not
wild,
right.
they run when they want to catch a rabbit and have dinner. The rest of the time, they're drinking water and chilling out. Dogs are hierarchical, so they're not the boss. Dogs are inter-pack, and they develop inter-pack relationships. And they want to know who's the boss and who's not. As a dog behaviorist, saying that a dog is supposed to run, for me anyway, is partially true, but that's not my objective as a pet owner. So if dog A comes up to dog B because dog A wants to play and dog A acts dominant towards dog B, then I'm going to take dog A and I'm going to say, Lucy, sit, stay. Then I'm going to bring your dog over to Lucy and let them play. So that your dog learns, I don't butt other dogs to get them to play. I sit back and wait. And then I get a chance to play like that. And dogs learn cause and effect. If I sit, then I can play. The same thing if the doorbell rings, and the dog goes running to the door, scratching the door, because most of you probably have little dogs, so I didn't use, like that, right? Well, you take the dog to the foyer, put the dog in a downstay right there, stay. You go to the door, you open up the door. Oh, Mary, come on in. It's Mary Fox. Come on in, Mary. And she comes in. The dog stays in the downstay. And Mary comes over. Oh my gosh, your dog is so obedient and so beautiful. Can I pet your dog? Then Janet's going to say yes. Bend at the waist and pet under my dog's chin. So she walks over there. Janet does. And she's very obedient. And she walks over there. She bends at the waist and pets the dog under the chin. What did I teach the dog? If you obey, Janet pets you when she comes in the house, right? And so those are examples of what I do in a situation where one dog is behaving dominantly over another dog, okay? All right, if that doesn't completely answer the question, then call us, because you have our card. All right, other questions? Yes, sir, right here. Yes.
Mike. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Are there small to medium-sized breeds which are easier to train for older people, or does this all depend on who the older person is?
Yes, the latter is more important than the prior. Yes, sir. Generally, what we get asked is the dog hyperallergenic? Does the dog shed? Does the dog smell like a dog, right? And so there are breeds that are more hypoallergenic. But if you love a particular breed of dog, that's a small dog or a medium dog would be 30 or 40 pounds or less, right? Then get that dog, because that's the dog you want. And then have that dog trained, and then the dog you want is well behaved. All dogs are trainable. There are no stupid dogs. There are no dogs that are untrainable unless they have some mental issue going on, right? Like some of us might have. And I included me in that number, some of us, right? Okay, so my answer would be, do you have a favorite breed? No, okay. Does your wife have a favorite breed? Do you have a favorite breed? No, okay, well, that was a good answer. Yes, yeah. And so I would probably choose a dog that's not all fluffy. I would probably choose a dog that doesn't shed, and that's the dog I would get. And I would just go online and search, and they'll give you pictures of probably 9 dogs that meet that criteria. And that would be true for any of us that are maybe thinking about a dog. Wow, after a year and a half, it's so hard. I know, it's really hard. Okay, all right, did you have a question?
Yes.
Okay.
So what is the ideal leash to walk a dog? Because some people have, just the regular leash. I see a lot of retractable leashes,
Yes.
and if the dog is going back and forth in front of the owner, then it becomes a tripping hazard.
Yes, correct. So that's a good question. The answer is the length of the leash, not necessarily the type of leash. When we train a dog to walk, we train the dog on a 5-foot leash, and the dog heels and only uses about 2 feet of that 5 foot. I don't let the dog walk out in front of me 5 feet. So if you have a retractable leash, then make it 4 feet long so that the dog is limited to stay on your hip. Then when you get over by the dog park, or you get over by the tree, or you get over by the green space over here, then stand in the middle of that space, become a post, and let the dog take out 8 feet or whatever it is, and then let the dog run around and play. Then when you're ready to go home, or another dog's coming into the area, or a person's gonna walk into the area, then pull that in, put the dog in a sit-stay on your left hip until they pass, and then let the dog go again. We don't recommend letting a dog walk you, which means they're on this retractable leash and they're walking down the sidewalk 6 feet in front of me. We don't recommend that. That's not safe for the dog, and it's not safe for other people who are walking. Cars are coming by and things like that. Okay, let me see here. I'm going to answer one more question, and then we're going to bring Adam in. Yes, sir.
Along the same line, we have a golden retriever.
Yes, sir.
I use about a 3-foot leash
Yes, sir.
to get her to walk, but she's constantly pulling
That's right.
forward, and you're
Yes.
pulling back, and
Yes.
she's pulling forward, and you're
Yes.
pulling back.
Yes.
How do you get them to stay with you?
That's right. That's right. And so it might be okay a little bit for you and I because we're working on our upper body strength, right? But then when our sweet dear wife gets the dog, she needs a skateboard, you know, and the dog is pulling her on, and it might be fun on a skateboard, I don't know. Probably not. So anyway, it's called pressure on, pressure off. And so if the dog is here, there's no pressure, meaning negative consequence. When the dog starts to pull, if on a scale of 1 to 10, that dog's motivation to pull is a 4, then the consequence is going to be a 6. And then what the dog says is, you know what? I didn't fall off a watermelon truck yesterday. I'm going to walk where I'm supposed to walk. The dog already knows where he's supposed to walk. No, because his answer was just keep pulling. I want the dog to know, stop pulling. I don't want Bernie the Beagle to get up on the couch, and every time I walk in the room I say, Bernie, get off the couch, and he gets off the couch. That's not what I want. I don't want Bernie ever on the couch, ever. Otherwise, I teach him that I'm a threatening, repeating parent, and you can get on the couch all day long, and 6 times a day I'll tell you to get off the couch. That's not training. So in your case, what happens is, when the dog wants to pull, then the motivation to pull, if it's a 6 out of 10 because I just want to lead you, then the consequence for doing what he knows he's not supposed to is an 8. And that's called pressure on. And it might be, all right, don't anybody pass out. It might be a pinch collar. Why? Because the dog already knows what a pinch collar is. It mimics the mama dog's biting action on the back of the neck in the litter at the whelping box that we talked about. And remember the 2 dogs that come nose to nose? Do you think that this dog, who puts his mouth over this dog's neck, does this? No, it's that. And it doesn't feel good, right? So some of you are like, well, I would never be that strong with my dog. Well, depending on how stubborn your dog is, you're going to lose every battle. And that's okay if it's okay with you, okay? So there has to be a motivation for, I need to stay on the hip. The leash you're using is perfect, perfect. Okay, if you have other questions about specific dog training, you have a card. If you don't, there's lots of information up here. And I'd like you to just give us a call, and then I'll call you back, okay? If you want to set up and do a training program with us that's guaranteed, then just give us a call, and we'll set that up. And then we'll go through 4 hours of Train the Trainer with you when you come back to pick your dog up, okay? All right, we have started to call John. How many of you know John? Raise your hand if you know John. Yes, a couple of, Adam and I have started to call him Sir John because, yeah, that's right, because that man knows what he wants, he knows how to do it, and we love people who know what they want and know how to do it. Yeah, thank you, John. So now Adam is up.
All righty, how are you guys today? Okay, so we've had a lot of good discussion about, training, behavioral training, issues with your dog, how do I, as the pack leader, demonstrate power, position, authority, etc. But sometimes, we just want easy, right? Sometimes we just want, look, I've got a problem, come take care of it for me, right? And so Pet Stop in North Georgia, that's the company name. We own and operate Pet Stop in North Georgia, Whispering Oaks Kennels, professional dog training, and of course we do Plexador dog doors. So we're a company that can handle anything and everything regarding pets, right? That's what we do. So let's talk about indoor solutions and outdoor solutions. So Pet Stop is a commercial brand of a pet containment, an invisible fence, an electronic pet fence system. We offer outdoor solutions and indoor solutions. So, maybe you have a dog that likes to bolt, right? Now, again, this is where we can talk about training if you want to, addressing the actual problem of why does your dog like to bolt. Some people are like, look, just come keep my dog from bolting out the door. We did this recently for a customer over at a retirement community in West Georgia, and they had a corgi. Incredible dog, extremely stubborn, extremely athletic, extremely fast. And if that dog got out the door, he was gone like a freight train, right? And, you know, I mean, even if you're 20 years old and in the prime of life, you're not catching that dog, right? Not until that dog wants to be caught. So, you know, we went out there and we set up an indoor solution, and then, you know, the homeowner doesn't have to worry about, oh my gosh, Amazon's coming today. Oh my gosh, company's coming over. Whatever the the possible problem might be, I don't have to worry about, is my dog going to run out the door? Is my dog going to bolt out the door? And if and when that happens, right? Because eventually life is going to happen, no matter how careful you are, you can't control everything, right? We went out there and set up a small little indoor solution, transmits out a wireless signal. The dog wears a collar, and in 30 minutes, we had that dog completely trained, and that dog would not get within probably 10 to 12 feet of that front door. I mean, we had that front door. It was hot that day. I kind of felt bad, but we had that door, part of the training, we had that door wide open. I mean, 99 degrees and just sweltering. And, we were letting out the bought air. But that dog would not get within probably 10 to 12 feet of the door. And that dog learned in 30 minutes, hey, it ain't worth it, right? At the end of the day, that's what it's about. And so, we start off on a gentle steps 1, TL1 setting on the collar. And, it can't be a deficiency of knowledge, right? The dog has to understand what is expected of them, right? And so, you start off, you walk the dog up and the collar beeps and, watch it, and pull the dog away. And then we gradually turn from gentle steps 1. This dog ended up at a gentle step 6 out of 13. So, that demonstrates his attitude, right? He was a little bit more hard-headed. He needed a little bit more persuasion, shall we say, to stay away from the door. But it's a great solution if maybe you've got an ornamental rug in the living room and you've got a dog that goes and pees on the rug, right? Well, and it doesn't matter how good a job somebody does cleaning that rug. A dog's nose is sensitive enough that the dog is going to smell where it went potty on that rug, no matter how many times it gets cleaned, right? And then every time the dog goes over there, that's why the dog goes and smells the fire hydrant or smells every tree, because they're smelling the 99 other dogs that peed there. And so that dog goes over here and it smells, oh, I went potty here a week ago on the rug, and now I'm going to go again. And so, those are things that we can do. We can, run a small system inside to keep the dog off the rug. If you've got a kitty litter box, if you've got an office space, you don't want the dog going in there and chewing on a power cord, right? That ain't a good thing. If you want to keep the dog out of a master bedroom or an office space or a guest bedroom, those are things that we can do. That's something to consider if you're looking for the easy route, right? Obviously, from a behavioral standpoint, oftentimes using Pet Stop is like, it's covering up the symptom, So be mindful of that, know what you want, know what you're looking for. Training is going to address the root cause of the problem, right? Which is, oftentimes both you and your dog. But if you're looking for something that you would like, look, I just need a quick fix and I need it now, I need it yesterday, then we have those options for you. Any quick questions? And I'm happy to talk. Do we have time for that, Miss Mary?
Yes, we have about 5 minutes.
Okay, cool. All right. Any questions about that? About training on an electronic pet fence? About training, like maybe you have a friend that has a dog door, we can answer. I can talk with you about any kind of training questions that you might have. Questions at all? You say no. All right. Perfect. All right. That's all we have for today, I think.
Thank you so much. Not only were you informative, you're a great performer. So thank you. Thanks for coming, everyone. Have a great day. Yes, he will be up here for a few minutes.